Heartwarming story. Billionaire dad's life-changing plea to his maid revealed an unexpected love. Robert Bennett had it all: a mansion that gleamed in the Texas sun, a fortune that propelled him into the elite, and connections that kept his social calendar packed. But as he stood in the grand living room, the opulence felt hollow. His daughter, Emma, sat curled up on the couch, tears streaming down her face. He felt like a stranger in his own home. Each day, he was consumed by the demands of his business, even while he failed to see the crumbling foundations of his family around him. "Why don't you understand me?" Emma cried, her voice cracking. "Your world isn't mine." He opened his mouth to respond, but the words lodged in his throat. It was supposed to be a perfect, picture-perfect life, but somehow it had all gone wrong. Emma, once a bright spark, seemed like a ghost drifting through his shadowy existence. In the corner, Maria, the family's devoted maid, picked up the abandoned laundry, her heart heavy with the weight of their strife. She couldn't bear to look on any longer. It wasn't easy to watch this family, so rich in things yet so poor in connection. With a deep breath, she crossed the room toward them. "Can I talk to both of you?" she pleaded, her voice steady and warm. Robert raised an eyebrow, surprised as a wave of calm washed over the stormy room. Maria shared stories of raising her own son, working long hours for meager pay, and the sacrifices she made every day. Her eyes sparkled with empathy, and both Robert and Emma were drawn in. In those moments, the barriers of wealth and class blurred. They listened to the troubles of working-class families, finding a unity in shared struggles they had never acknowledged before. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Robert spoke with Maria, he was struck by how her hard-won wisdom shed light on the very things he had overlooked in his relentless pursuit of wealth. Emma watched, a tightness in her chest that felt like a mixture of pride and envy. Why was it easier for her father to find solace in a woman he once saw as the help? Just when things seemed to shift towards healing, whispers of discontent emerged. Robert's friends scoffed at his newfound bond with Maria. He's lost it, they murmured, snubbing him at social gatherings. The pressure to conform built like a storm, shaking his resolve. Emma felt the weight of those judgments, and fear gripped her heart. Would her father sacrifice everything for a friendship with someone so beneath their status? Adding to the tension, the community faced an unexpected crisis. As the economic downturn struck, Robert found himself at a crossroads, forced to confront the very nature of his privilege. Standing with Maria, rallying support for neighbors in need, he realized the true measure of man isn't in wealth but in the strength of his character and the bonds he forges with those deemed lesser. Just as they began to unite their community, an unexpected revelation rocked Robert's world. Would love and connection prevail over the pressures of status? Could family withstand the storm? As uncertainty hung in the air, the question loomed large: would Robert choose the weight of societal acceptance or embark on a path of genuine fulfillment, one that includes love and connection? The days that followed were filled with tension. Robert felt the unyielding eyes of his social circle bearing down on him. He had never been one to back away from a challenge, but this was different. His friends whispered about him behind closed doors, their mockery spreading like wildfire. Each day he went to the office, he could feel his conscience battling with the familiar pull of privilege. At home, the air was thick with unspoken words. Emma rolled her eyes at the mention of her father's charity work. "You're just trying to impress them," she snapped during one of their increasingly frequent arguments. "And what about us? I can't respect you when you betray everything we've been taught." Robert felt that stab of truth. Was he really sacrificing their relationship for the sake of acceptance? The thought settled in his chest like a stone. He had to confront it. His heart raced at the idea of diving deeper into this newfound connection with Maria. She seemed to fill the voids his family had neglected, lighting up conversations with genuine laughter and warmth that flowed like a stream in the desert. One evening, after a particularly busy day of community outreach, Maria approached Robert in the kitchen while he was reheating leftovers. "You should talk to Emma," she suggested gently. Her soft eyes shone with understanding, and he found comfort in her presence. Sometimes it's good to step into her shoes, to really listen. He knew she was right, yet fear snagged at his resolve. What if Emma heard things differently? What if her world suffocated the slowly blossoming connection he had with Maria? As he looked out of the window at the wide Texas sky, a thought took root. What if this was all part of a greater design, a shift he could embrace? That night, after putting Emma to bed, Robert sat in the vast living room alone, the shadows stretching across the walls like fingers reaching for comfort. He took a deep breath and reflected on everything Maria had shared, about her struggles, her unwavering spirit. It was a perspective that changed the landscape of his reality. He realized that being a father didn't just mean providing, sometimes it meant listening to the stories of those who mattered most. The next morning, as the sun draped its golden light across the mansion, Robert woke up with a new sense of determination. He would reach out to Emma, not as her father but as a fellow traveler trying to make sense of the world. "Emma," he called softly after breakfast, finding her sitting at the kitchen island, scrolling through her phone. Her expression was unreadable, but he plowed on, "Can we talk?" The vulnerability in his voice caught her attention. She looked up, hesitating, then slowly nodded. Place, tension melted as Robert shared his revelations about community, privilege, and their relationship. He told her how he didn't want to lose her to societal expectations. As she listened, her defenses began to lower. They spent an hour unraveling layers of hurt. But just as they found a tentative bridge to understanding, the ringing of Robert's phone shattered the moment. A frantic call from a neighbor. A family they had supported through the downturn was being evicted. The urgency in the man's voice was palpable. "What's wrong?" Emma asked, a slight frown creasing her forehead. Robert took a deep breath, realizing this was not just a neighbor's issue, it was a community outcry. The challenge ahead of him loomed even larger than the one he just faced with Emma. How could he help them while still fighting for his family? The question hung in the air, ripe for exploration, as both father and daughter exchanged worried glances. Would they step up together and face these challenges as a family? Or would the darkness of their world pull them apart again, forever? The ringing echoed in Robert's ears, overshadowing the tiny flame of connection he had kindled with Emma just moments before. He could see the concern etched across her face and knew they needed to act. "I have to go," he said, his voice a mix of urgency and resolve. "Wait, Dad." Emma rushed after him as he grabbed his jacket. "Are we just going to leave it like that? We were finally talking." "I know, and we will talk," he assured her, grabbing her shoulder gently. "But people need help right now. You said it yourself, right? We're supposed to stand up for what is right." Emma faltered for just a moment, perhaps taken aback by the firmness in his tone. "But what about us? You can't just jump into someone else's problems." "You're right," he agreed. "But it's not just about them, it's about us too. This is our community, our family. Let us go." She closed her eyes briefly. He watched her digest the weight of his words, feeling the tension still coiling in the air. With a sigh, she nodded, a mixture of frustration and determination across her face. "Fine, let us go help them. But promise me we'll finish our talk afterwards." "Absolutely," he said, already pulling her toward the door. The drive over felt surreal. Half of him was anxious, hoping he could make a real difference, while the other half was torn, worrying about the unresolved conversation with Emma. Silence hung thick in the car. Emma was staring out the window, lost in thought, and for all he knew, she was contemplating their future, just like he was. When they arrived, the sight broke Robert's heart. The family, who had once been vibrant in their home, now stood outside, hastily packing their meager belongings into the trunk of a shaky old sedan. The father looked worn down, wrinkles deep with worry, shoulders bent under the weight of defeat. A pang of guilt hit Robert hard. He had been so wrapped up in his own world that he hadn't grasped the urgency of their plight until it was almost too late. He stepped out of the car, his daughter close behind. "Mr. Thompson," Robert called, his voice firm but kind. The man turned, giving Robert a mixture of surprise and desperation. "What is going on?" "Mr. Carpenter," Thompson replied, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. "We're being evicted. Just don't have the money and I don't want my kids to see." His words trailed off, leaving the rest unspoken. Robert felt a wave of determination wash over him. "What can we do?" Emma stepped forward, her hesitations melting away as she drew strength from her father's conviction. "We can help you with funds. We have savings. We can." "There's more than money to this," Robert interjected gently, his heart racing. "We can connect with community resources, see what support is available." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, her brow furrowed. "Remember what Maria said about really listening? We should bring others into this too. If we advocate together, we might find a solution," he answered, looking at his daughter with hope in his eyes. As they discussed options, a flicker of understanding sparked between them. Emma nodded slowly, courage replacing uncertainty. They were stepping into a larger role, not just as a father and daughter but as pillars for their community. As they made arrangements to gather support, Robert felt the bond between him and Emma strengthening. Whatever storm lay ahead, they would face it together. But even as he turned to leave, something nagged at his mind. They had stepped into this situation, but what would happen when the calls for help didn't stop? Glancing back at Emma, who was deep in discussion with the father, Robert wondered, could they truly weather this storm as a family, or would it tear them apart in the end? The question lingered heavily in the air, and with it, the realization that their journey was only beginning. Robert took a deep breath, allowing the moment to settle over him as he watched Emma animatedly talk to Mr. Thompson. Hope and fear intermingled within him, making his heart race. If this was a turning point for them, then they had to navigate it carefully. Every conversation became a chance to deepen their bond or let misunderstanding widen the gap between them. "Mr. Thompson," Robert spoke, snapping back to the immediate needs of the family. "Can you tell me more about your situation? Have you had any help so far?" Mr. Thompson ran a hand through his thinning hair, frustration visible in his eyes. "We tried. The community center couldn't help, and we've fallen behind on too many bills. It's too much." As they talked, Robert felt Emma move closer. She kept stealing glances at him, gauging his reactions. He could see the weight of the resolve in her posture. The urgency was not lost on her. There was a sturdy woman inside the girl who had once needed his protection. "Maybe we can organize a community meeting," Emma suggested, her voice steady. "Gather people to help us brainstorm ways to keep your family here." "That's a great idea," Robert chimed in, sensing the growing fire of advocacy igniting in them both. "If everyone hears your story, maybe they'll step up. It'll bring awareness to and help those who are in the same position." Emma smiled at her dad, and for a brief moment, the air around them brightened. He leaned an inch closer to her. It was the connection they had been waiting for, a shared mission to uplift others. "Can we meet tonight to plan?" Emma asked the Thompsons. "Yes, we have to act fast," Mr. Thompson replied, his voice stronger now. "If we don't get help soon." The end of his sentence hung heavy in the air, unbearable yet real. Robert could see Emma's resolve shatter just for a moment, but she was quick to put on a brave face. They had a purpose now. There was strength in unity, and as long as they stood together, the darkness didn't stand a chance. "Let's meet at our place at 6, Robert said decisively. I can get a few more people on board as well. The more support we have, the better. After taking down details and making plans, they finally said their goodbyes. As they walked back to the car, Robert felt the weight of the situation pressing down on him. But beside him, Emma appeared taller, that inner strength shining through. "What if it doesn't work?" she asked quietly as they climbed in. He prepared to answer but paused, lingering on the realness of her concern. "I don't know, Emma. But I do know that we can't let fear paralyze us. We have to try." Emma nodded thoughtfully, seeing the passion in her father's eyes. "I just want to fix this and, I don't know, I hope we can talk after. You know about everything." "Of course," he said, committing wholeheartedly to that promise. As he turned the car onto the road, the evening sky was a deepening purple. It reminded Robert how quickly things can change, how a moment can tip the scales. Yet, even with every passing second, uncertainty lurked like a shadow behind every streetlight. He caught Emma staring at the glowing skyline and couldn't help but wonder what was going on inside her mind. They were moving into unknown territory, and the stakes seemed high not just for the Thompson family but for them too. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. It was a message from Maria at the community center. "I have news about some resources that might help. Call me when you get this." A flicker of hope surged through him. The road ahead might be rocky, but they were diving into this challenge together. The feeling was exhilarating yet terrifying. What would happen next? "Emma," he said softly, "there's more waiting for us than we realize." And as they drove through the twilight, engulfed in both hope and fear, the weight of the journey they were embarking on felt heavier than ever before. Would they manage to pull through? Was the bond they fought to save strong enough to face whatever was coming? Robert parked the car outside their modest home, still buzzing with the urgency of the evening ahead. As they climbed out, Emma's face reflected excitement mixed with anxiety. He could sense her hopes floating just above the surface, needing only the slightest nudge to either explode into inspiration or sink under the weight of doubt. "Do you think anyone will show up?" Emma asked, clutching the strap of her bag tightly. His heart ached at her question. The fear that had lingered in her voice weighed heavily on him. "People care, Emma. They just need to be reminded sometimes," he replied, trying to instill a sense of confidence in both her and himself. As they walked toward their front door, the late evening buzz of the neighborhood surrounded them, kids laughed in backyards, and faint music drifted through the air. It felt both comforting and strange, a reminder of life bustling on while they were about to step into the chaos of someone else's burden. Inside, Robert flipped on the lights and busied himself in the kitchen, preparing some snacks while Emma set up the living room. She arranged chairs and brought out a few extra blankets, her nervousness manifesting through her movements. Seeing her immerse herself in the task provided him reassurance. "Do you think the Thompsons will bring their kids?" she asked as she straightened a throw pillow. "Probably," Robert replied. "They do want to get them involved, and it'll give us all a chance to understand just how much this affects everyone." Emma nodded, a soft smile creeping in as she envisioned the Thompsons' two little ones playing with her toys, giggling away their worries. Just then, a knock on the door made them both jump. "Showtime," Robert said, shooting her a grin as he opened the door. The Thompsons stood on their porch, faces a mixture of relief and apprehension. Behind them, a handful of neighbors had gathered, curious or sympathetic, but willing to lend their ears. "Thank you for coming," Mr. Thompson said, visibly trying to steady himself. Emma rushed forward, and without thinking, embraced Mrs. Thompson, who returned the gesture with a tight hug, grateful and emotional. As they settled in, Robert felt the atmosphere shift as more chairs filled and conversation sparked. Familiar faces illuminated the living room with shared stories and empathy, filtering through the fear that had once threatened to consume them all. "Can I share something?" Emma suddenly spoke up, standing by a small stool they had placed in the corner. She looked at the crowd, her cheeks flushed but her gaze steady. "When Dad and I were driving back, I felt so scared that we wouldn't be able to help you," she admitted, finding strength in vulnerability. A murmur of understanding rippled through the crowd as her eyes sparkled with determination. "But I realized we can't let that fear control us. We have to face our problems together, just like you're doing." Robert beamed with pride, seeing his daughter transform right before his eyes. The way she spoke, the passion behind her words, it was everything he had longed to see in her. As they began brainstorming ideas, the room filled with an electric energy, pushing aside the doubts that loomed earlier. They discussed organizing a fundraiser, creating social media excitement, reaching out to local businesses for support. But just as hope began to blossom, his phone buzzed again. The screen lit up with another message from Maria, but this one was different. "I need to speak to you. It's urgent. Call me now." A chill crept into Robert's heart, something in the urgency making his thoughts race. He excused himself, stepping outside into the fresh air for clarity. What could this mean? As he dialed her number, listening to the ringing that echoed in the quiet night, he felt a knot tightening in his stomach. Emma's voice followed him out, her laughter merging with the others, oblivious to the storm brewing inside him. "Please let this be good news," he whispered under his breath. But as Maria finally answered, he knew that whatever she had to say could change everything once again. What would he discover this time? The moment Maria's voice broke through the static, Robert felt the night close in around him. "Robert, thank you for calling back so quickly," she said, her tone clipped and urgent. "What is going on?" He could hear the muffled sounds of the gathering behind him, laughter and chatter spilling out into the night, a stark contrast to the tension in his chest. "It's about the fundraiser we've hit a snag," Maria began, her words racing as if she feared time would slip away. "The venue we planned to use has been double booked. We need to find a new place, and we need to do it fast." For a moment, Robert felt the familiar weight of despair settle in. They had finally begun rebuilding hope, the thrill of teamwork sparking new life into the community. Now it felt like quicksand tugging at their feet. What about the town hall? It could hold everyone, and they've been supportive in the past. "I thought of that," Maria replied, though her voice carried a hint of doubt. "But they just raised their rental fees, and I'm not sure if we can cover it with what we've got. Everything is just," she sighed, a tremor in her voice. "Everything is complicated right now." Complicated was an understatement. Robert glanced back at Emma, surrounded by friends, spreading joy like she had learned to do. How could he bring worry back into the room? "Give me a moment," he said softly, his heart racing, navigating through the possibilities. "Robert?" Maria's voice pulled him back into focus. "What do you think? Can we work this out?" His mind was a whirlwind, desperately searching for anything that would keep this hope alive. "Let me call a few contacts. I'll see what I can do." He hung up, pocketing the phone, his resolve hardening. Returning inside, a wave of warmth and laughter washed over him, almost disorienting in contrast to the cold anxiety he felt moments before. Robert forced a smile as he rejoined the group. Emma noticed right away. "Dad, are you okay?" she asked, concern creasing her brow, suddenly the young girl again instead of the brave soul who had inspired everyone minutes earlier. "I'm fine, sweetheart," he said, making his voice sound steady. "Just thinking. You know, about how we can expand our efforts. I have a few ideas for the fundraiser and how we can reach even more people." Emma's eyes lit up with curiosity and hope. "What do you mean?" "I'll share them soon," he promised, but his heart pounded with an unsettling itch in his chest. Could he pull this off? Was it too much too soon? As he spoke, Robert caught glimpses of the Thompsons and others around the room, their faces glowing with hope and determination. They could feel the momentum growing, the very air around them charged with optimism. Yet, he felt a gap between this hope and the reality. He faced a storm brewing underneath the surface. The discussions grew louder, plans morphing, evolving. Someone suggested a charity bake sale while another proposed a community garage sale. Each idea sparked enthusiasm, weaving their individual visions into something greater. But Robert couldn't shake the feeling of responsibility weighing on his shoulders. He had to find a venue, and fast, or else everything might just slip through his fingers. Just then, as laughter erupted from Emma and her friends, a thought struck him, as bright and unexpected as a lightning flash. The high school gym. It had been recently renovated and remained underutilized. He and Emma had attended countless events there together, the retro years of dances, sports, even bake sales. "I think I know where we can hold it," he exclaimed, his voice carrying enthusiasm he hadn't felt moments before. "The high school gym. I'll reach out to the principal in the morning." "Really?" Emma's eyes widened, hope blooming. "Yes. It could work, I'm sure of it." The room erupted in cheers. The tension eased like air releasing from a balloon, and Robert felt his own heart lift in synchronicity with the atmosphere. But just as he felt the wave of relief wash over him, the buzzing in his pocket interrupted. Another message. This one from Maria again, more urgent than the last. "Please call me back. It's important. I can't handle this alone." His heart dropped. This wasn't just about the fundraiser anymore. What did Maria mean, "I can't handle this alone"? As the laughter from the living room faded into the background, Robert's thoughts spiraled, and he wondered what new challenges awaited them. Would they really be able to pull this off? Would the community come together as he hoped? The questions surged in his mind, each one more pressing than the last. Turning his back to the crowd, the shadows of uncertainty grew deeper with each ring of the phone in his hand. What storm was looming this time? Robert stared at his phone, the screen glowing in the dim light. Maria's words echoed in his mind, twisting his gut tighter. "I can't handle this alone." He took a steadying breath, fighting against the way his heart raced. He needed to call her back, but first, he had to clear his head. Emma was still surrounded by her friends, a bright spot in the swirling darkness, but the light seemed too far away now. He forced himself to move, hoping a quick trip outside could help him think clearly. Stepping out into the cool night air, Robert felt the tension seep away, if only a little. He leaned against the porch railing, the wood rough against his palm, and called Maria. It rang just once before she picked up. Robert, her voice wavered, and it made him sit up a little straighter. "I didn't know if you'd call." "I'm here." "What is going on?" He could hear the distant chuckles and loud music from the party, the life inside contrasting sharply with the knot forming in his stomach. There's more than just the venue issue. I've been hearing rumors about our funding." She hesitated, clearly weighing each word. "Some people are backing out. They're worried this will flop." Robert clenched his teeth. "That can't be right. We've built momentum. Everyone is excited." "I know that." "They were." Her voice rose, then dropped as if she cursed herself for losing control. "But I think they're starting to lose trust in us. Without the venue, without proper funding, what can we show them?" A sharp breath escaped Robert. "So, they're abandoning ship?" "Not abandoning, but they're skittish. People need reassurance. If we don't have a space that feels viable, they won't see our vision. And I don't know how to fix this without your help." "Okay, let's brainstorm. The high school gym is a solid location, I'll get in touch with the principal. But what else can we do to keep them motivated?" Ideas swirled in his head, tangling together, but Maria's silence pressed against him like a weight. "I don't know yet. We need a plan." Maria's words were strained, and Robert could feel her exhaustion through the phone. "I thought reaching out to others would help, but I'm feeling overwhelmed." Empathy washed over him. He knew that feeling well, the crushing pressure of expectations pushing down like a 10-ton weight. "You're not alone in this, Maria. We're in this together, remember? I'll do everything I can. Really? Her voice cracked, a mix of disbelief and gratitude. Absolutely, he replied with more confidence than he felt. We'll pull this off. Just give me a little time. She let out a shaky breath, the sound both fragile and hopeful. Thank you, Robert. I really needed to hear that. As they hung up, Robert leaned against the railing, staring at the stars above. They twinkled unapologetically, indifferent to the darkness swirling around him. Inspiration sparked again, igniting his resolve when he realized they needed a way to unite the community. Not just for their fundraiser, but for each other. They could reshape this vulnerability into strength if they focused together. He turned back to the door, but just before stepping inside, a sudden thought struck him like the jolt of a lightning bolt. What if they included everyone in the planning? People love to share their ideas and give opinions. What if they held an open forum, inviting everyone to come and brainstorm solutions together? The idea felt right. It could strengthen their sense of community and ownership of the fundraiser. Robert stepped inside, determined to share the plan, but as he looked around the room, laughter danced around him like butterflies in the summer breeze. Emma caught his eye and smiled, the light in her eyes bursting with joy. Yet, he felt that familiar knot of worry, unwilling to release its grip. He would have to make the announcement tonight. Yet not everyone would see his vision, and not everyone would be ready to rally behind them. They would need persuasion. Bracing himself, he cleared his throat, hoping he could strike the right chord. The laughter quieted down gradually as the crowd turned their attention his way. How did one person stand before a room full of expectations when he felt so uncertain himself? Hey everyone, he called out, heart racing, can I have your attention for just a minute? As the laughter faded, the room fell silent, all eyes directed at him. The weight of their gaze pressed down, but he pushed through, determination pulsing with each word. Whatever storm was brewing, he had to face it head-on. But would they trust him? Would they rally their hopes around a vision that felt shaky? As he stood there, he realized that in this moment, more than ever, he would need to inspire them into action, or risk losing what they had worked so hard to build. What would he say to turn their fear into hope? Hey everyone, Robert began, his voice steady despite the flurry of thoughts racing through his mind. I know we're all here to have a good time, but I need to share something important about our upcoming fundraiser. There was an immediate shift in the room. Curiosity replaced laughter, and he could practically feel their energy redirecting towards him. Emma leaned forward, her smile now a slight encouragement in a sea of anxious anticipation. We're facing some challenges, Robert continued, knowing the weight of his words. There's a chance we might not have a venue, and some of our support is starting to waver. He watched as faces around him shifted, concern knitting their brows. But I believe we can turn this around. He inhaled deeply, searching for the right words. He thought of Maria, the way her voice trembled, the way her exhaustion hovered in the air like smoke. What if we decided to take control instead of letting uncertainty dictate our outcome? He could feel the spark fluttering inside him as he proposed his idea. Let us hold an open forum. A chance for everyone to come together, share ideas, and brainstorm solutions. Everyone's voice matters. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Was that surprise? Or fear? He pressed on, fueled by hope. I know you all care about this community. We've already achieved so much together. If we stand united now, we can forge a path through this darkness. Robert caught Emma's eyes again, and she nodded, encouraging him. A few people in the back started murmuring, and he took their quiet contemplation as a positive sign. Picture this, our high school gym filled with enthusiasm. Groups forming, ideas flowing. What if we can make this a moment that reminds everyone that we're more than just individuals trying to raise money? We're a community driven by a shared purpose. He noticed a few people smiling, some exchanged glances with excitement. Yet, he felt a tension that wasn't fully ebbed. What if we don't get what we want? What if nobody shows up? One voice called from the back, laced with doubt. Murmurs of agreement echoed the concern. Robert swallowed, his heart racing. What if we fail? He echoed, raising an eyebrow. But what if we succeed? What if we come together and everyone feels part of something bigger? Trust me. You have all the power to make this happen. That line hung in the air, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Hope wasn't just a whisper anymore, it was a roar, urging them to pick their heads up. He caught sight of Maria standing in the corner, her eyes shining with encouragement, and it gave him strength. Let us gather in a week. Make this a community event. When we open that door for collaboration, we open it for creativity. And who knows? The ideas we generate today could be the very foundation of something incredible. As he finished, the silence that followed felt charged like the moment before a lightning strike. Would they respond? Would they see what he saw? Who's with me? He called out, raising his hands, sensing the urge to connect physically with the unmoving energy in the room. Slowly, one hand went up, then another, and before long, the room erupted into applause and supportive cheers. The relief that washed over Robert felt like the sun breaking through clouds. But even as gratitude welled within him, a small voice of doubt crept back in. How can you keep that momentum going? And as he stood in front of the animated group, laughter breaking out once more, he knew this was just the beginning. The path forward still felt rugged, and the hard work was only just starting. But if they could trust each other through the struggle, they stood a chance. As the applauding faded, he noticed a figure lingering at the edge of the crowd. It was Maria, her expression unreadable and intense, but the way she looked at him suggested they had much more to discuss, a reality that could change everything. What secrets lie behind those eyes? What more could she reveal about their struggle? Robert's heart raced as he approached Maria, the applause still ringing in his ears but now feeling a million miles away. Her gaze penetrated through the noise, and he felt an urgency building inside him. Maria, he said as he reached her, trying to catch his breath. She looked different tonight, more vulnerable, yet also more determined. I'm glad you're here. I need your thoughts. You've been working with the community for so long, you know what they want. She hesitated for a moment, her brow furrowing. I'm not sure where to start, Robert. Her voice was soft but tinged with a weight he could sense. What if everyone shows up, but we still fail? What if the ideas fall flat? What if we divide the community instead of uniting it? He could see the fear in her eyes, and it mirrored his own doubts. But he couldn't let that fear take over. What if we don't fail? He countered, trying to rally a spark of hope. What if this is our moment? This could be the chance we've been waiting for. Hope is good, but it's not enough, she replied, her tone shifting like the weather. People need results. They need to see a way forward. They want to believe, but so many have lost faith. Robert took a moment to consider her words. The last thing he wanted was for his attempt at unity to sprout division among those who had once rallied for common goals. You're right, he said finally, his voice more resolute. But we can't fix everything overnight. This forum, it's just the beginning. Together, we can build something real. Maria studied him closely, her expression softening slightly. Okay, but we need to make it meaningful. There has to be a structure or a way to keep people engaged, or else they'll just drift away. We can't let that happen. A sense of inspiration washed over him. You're exactly what we need. You understand what we're up against. You have the heart of this community. If anyone can help guide us, it's you. Maria's apprehension slowly melted, replaced by a small smile. All right, I'll help. Let us make it happen. But we have to push ourselves to get the most out of everyone. With newfound determination, Robert nodded. Together then. We can do this. As they began to brainstorm, the room steadily quieted, allowing their voices to fill the space. Their ideas flowed from one another like water, each building on the last. They spoke of themes that could unite their community, activities that could engage, potlucks, talent shows, local business showcases. With every suggestion, he felt the urgency and excitement grow. But amidst their planning, Robert couldn't shake the feeling there was something more lurking beneath Maria's exterior. He knew she was holding back, and though their collaboration was crucial, part of him yearned to uncover whatever it was that was unsettling her. Suddenly, Maria paused, her lips quivering as a shadow crossed her face. "Robert, there's something I've been meaning to tell you." The air thickened with tension as Robert's heart skipped a beat. Was this the moment he had been waiting for? What would she say? What secrets weighed on her heart that could change everything they had just begun to build? "Robert, there's something I've been meaning to tell you." Maria's voice trembled, a stark contrast to the bustling energy surrounding them. The room felt charged, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Robert leaned closer, his heart thumping louder than the voices of their friends planning the community forum. "What is it?" he asked, sensing the gravity of the moment. Maria bit her lip, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "I've kept this a secret because I didn't want it to affect our work together. But I think you have a right to know." She hesitated, gathering her thoughts, then steadied herself. "I'm facing eviction too." The words hit Robert like a sledgehammer. "What?" "Maria, I had no idea." Her shoulders slumped slightly, as if all her burdens pressed down on her at once. "When you and Emma came to help the Thompsons, it made me realize how fragile our own situation is. I've been struggling to keep my home, and now with the community funds in jeopardy, I don't know how much longer I could hold on." Robert felt a swell of emotions: anger, sadness, yet a flicker of determination. "This isn't just about the Thompsons then. It's affecting you too. We can't let this happen." Anxiety clawed at his gut as he took in her expression, the reality that their fight was against something larger than a singular family. "I didn't want to distract from our cause," she murmured, the hurt evident in her voice. "But I'm scared, Robert. Scared of losing everything I've worked for." Her voice trailed off, exposing the fragility behind her usual strength. A wave of understanding washed over him. He stepped closer, feeling the weight of his own recent revelations. "Maria, you don't have to face this alone. You've been there for us, now let us be there for you too. We'll fight together." She looked up, startled. "You mean that? We're in the thick of it already." "That's exactly why it's vital. The community can't just see us fighting for others, we need to show them we're also fighting for each of us." Robert glanced back at the group, filled with passion and ideas. "Let us focus on this together. If we rally for them, they'll rally for you too." Slowly, a spark reignited behind Maria's eyes. "You truly believe we can turn this into something strong?" The realization struck him: her burdens weighed heavier than he thought, just as his own had. "Absolutely. It's about unity, right? We're all part of this community, and if we stand together, everyone will see the strength in our bonds." Just then, Emma approached. "Dad. You won't believe the ideas we came up with," she said excitedly. But her eyes caught the tension between her father and Maria. "Is everything okay?" Robert took a deep breath, glancing at Maria before replying. "We've just uncovered another part of our fight. It's bigger than we thought, but we'll get through it. Together." Emma furrowed her brow, sensing the shift. "What do you mean?" "Maria needs our support too. Just like the Thompsons, she faces uncertainty. But with everyone here tonight, we can organize the community behind our work, and we'll start with Maria's situation." Emma's eyes widened, realization dawning. "Absolutely. We'll create a section in the forum dedicated to neighborhood support, helping each other directly." Maria's heart lifted as hope threaded into the fabric of their collective efforts. She could feel the energy accumulate, weaving them all into one powerful tapestry. Encouraged, Robert turned towards the group, brimming with newfound determination. "We have a lot ahead of us, but I believe we can shift everything together. Who wants to come on board?" Cheers erupted around the room, reaffirming the strength of their resolve. Conversational threads bubbled again as ideas flowed. Robert could see Emma's excitement growing as she chatted with friends, galvanizing them into action. The atmosphere crackled with positivity and hope. Hours passed, more plans laid, and by the time the meeting concluded, a profound sense of unity settled within Robert. They had not simply skated the surface of hardship, they had plummeted into its depth, touched by its rawness, and returned stronger. As the crowd began to clear out, Robert caught Emma's eye. She beamed with pride, closing the distance between them. "Dad, I think we can really do this. Everyone feels like part of something important." He smiled back, his heart warming at her enthusiasm and confidence. "Yes, and you were a huge part of that today. You stood up and spoke from your heart." "Thanks, Dad," she murmured, her face aglow. "But I couldn't have done it without you. You were amazing too, reaching out to everyone." Just then, Maria approached them, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "You both did something incredible tonight. I'm beyond thankful for your support." "Just doing what we can," Robert replied, his demeanor softening. Invested in each other's dreams and struggles, they had transformed beyond just family, they were now allies in unraveling barriers. "Let us get to planning right away, Maria," Emma said, her excitement palpable. "We can work on the community forum next week." "I'd love that," Maria replied, her heart swelling. As they walked toward the door together, the Texas night wrapped around them. It felt different now, not overshadowed by despair, but alive with possibility and connection. In the depths of uncertainty, they found each other. And suddenly, everything felt just a little lighter. "About earlier," Robert said, hesitantly. "I just want you to know, whatever we face as a family, I'm committed to us. And we will get through together." Emma nodded, her eyes fierce. "Yes. Together." As they walked out into the warm evening breeze, laughter echoed from their home. Their community was burgeoning with hope, wrapped tightly around them, offering support like roots anchoring a mighty oak. The storm may still brew, and challenges might still rise, but they had a foundation now, a bond stronger than anything life could throw at them. The struggles were far from over, but for the first time, Robert felt a sense of peace. They were not just facing a fight, they were embracing a future intertwined with love, compassion, and an unshakable sense of family. And that was their greatest victory of all. You need to subscribe now for more stories that inspire change, growth, and unity. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these incredible tales going. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Did it resonate with you? Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a reminder of the power of community and love. Together, we can spread transformation.